There are moments in life that don't arrive with explosions or screaming voices. They slip in quietly, wearing ordinary clothes, hiding behind routine words. And by the time you realise what they've done, something inside you has already broken. For me, that moment came through a text message on a Tuesday morning. I was standing in my kitchen, waiting for the kettle to boil, watching steam rise slowly toward the ceiling. The house was quiet in the way it often is when you live alone long enough. I checked my phone, expecting one of Daniel's usual short messages about work or wedding planning. Instead, I read, "My son texted me. Don't come to my wedding. My wife doesn't want to see you." I read it once, then again, then a third time. I waited for my mind to correct it, to rearrange the words into something that made sense. It didn't. My only child had uninvited me from his wedding. My name is Margaret Patterson. I'm 62 years old, and I spent 32 years building a life centered around one person, my son, Daniel. This is the story of how I almost lost him, and how the truth brought him back. If you're listening to this, please stay with me until the end. And if you feel comfortable, leave a comment telling me where you're listening from. I want to know how far this story travels, because I know I'm not the only parent who has lived through something like this. Daniel was 12 years old when his father, Robert, died from a sudden heart attack. One moment we were planning a weekend camping trip, and the next I was sitting in a hospital room, holding a boy who didn't yet understand what it meant to lose a parent. From that day forward, my life changed shape. I worked 2 jobs. During the day, I was a bank manager. At night, I handled bookkeeping for small businesses that couldn't afford full-time accountants. I came home late. I woke up early. I did it because I refused to let my son feel the absence of his father in material ways. I saved aggressively. I invested carefully. Every spare dollar had a purpose. College, emergency funds, a future I could protect even if I wasn't always there to explain it. Daniel grew into a kind, thoughtful young man. He called me every Sunday without fail. He visited for holidays. He told people I was his best friend. When he graduated from college with a marketing degree, I cried harder than I had at any other moment in my adult life. We were close, or at least I believed we were. Then Daniel met Vanessa. At first I was thrilled. He was 28 and finally serious about someone. When he told me her name, when he described her smile, I felt relieved. Every parent wants to know their child isn't alone in the world. 6 months into their relationship, Daniel brought Vanessa to dinner. I noticed small things that night. The way she answered questions directed at Daniel. The way she corrected him when he spoke about his childhood, insisting that the version he had shared with her was more accurate than his own memories. "Daniel told me you worked at a bank," she said lightly, smiling. "Not that you were a manager. Let's be honest about things." I laughed it off. New relationships are awkward. People misstep. I told myself I was overthinking, but the signs didn't stop. Daniel stopped calling every Sunday. When he did call, Vanessa was always there, her voice in the background, commenting on our conversations. "Is that your mum again?" I'd hear her say. "Didn't you just talk to her?" Visits became less frequent. When I asked about Thanksgiving, Daniel hesitated. "Vanessa thinks we should start our own traditions," he said. "You understand, right, Mum?" I tried to understand. I really did. The engagement announcement arrived by text message, not a phone call, not a visit, just a photo of Vanessa's hand with a diamond ring that must have cost 3 months of Daniel's salary. "We're engaged," the message read. "Wedding in 3 months. 3 months. That was my first real alarm. I called immediately. Vanessa answered Daniel's phone. "Oh, hi, Margaret," she said, her voice sweet and polished. "Daniel's in the shower. We're so excited. It's going to be a small, intimate ceremony, just our closest people." I offered to help. I had been saving for Daniel's wedding since he was born. There was a pause. "That's generous," she said, "but we want to do this ourselves. It's important to us to be independent. We're adults." The word adults stung in a way I hadn't expected. Over the next 2 months, I was systematically excluded. Guest lists were discussed without me. The venue was chosen with Vanessa's mother. Dress shopping happened without an invitation. Cake tastings, planning calls, decisions. Everything moved forward as if I didn't exist. When I asked Daniel directly, he became defensive. "Mum, you're being controlling," he said. "Vanessa and I need space to build our life." I asked to see the guest list. That was all. 3 weeks before the wedding, my phone buzzed. My hands shook as I read the message. "Don't come to my wedding. Vanessa doesn't want you there. She says you've been unsupportive and critical. I need to put my future wife first. Please respect our wishes." I read it 5 times. "Don't come to my wedding." My only child had erased me. I called. Voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I texted. No response. For 2 days, I barely slept. I replayed every interaction with Vanessa, searching for the moment I had been critical. I found nothing. I had been polite, welcoming, even generous. On the 3rd day, something shifted inside me. The hurt hardened. I called the bank. Within an hour, I closed the joint accounts I had opened for Daniel when he turned 18. Accounts that still had my name on them. Accounts I had funded for his future. $73,000. I transferred every cent back to my personal account. Then I waited. That evening I sat in my living room, surrounded by photographs of a life I thought I understood. The room where Daniel had taken his first steps. The couch where we'd celebrated his high school graduation. Had I imagined our closeness? No, I knew my son. The Daniel who sent that text wasn't the real Daniel. He was being guided, shaped, controlled. And I had been too polite to see it. That night, after closing the accounts, I sat alone with a cup of tea, growing cold in my hands. The house felt different. Quieter, but not peaceful. The silence carried questions I couldn't ignore anymore. I had spent my entire career solving problems with logic and numbers. Emotion had its place. But facts were what saved people. And now facts were what my son needed, whether he wanted them or not. I began to think systematically. Vanessa had isolated Daniel over 8 months. She had rushed him into an engagement. She had convinced him to uninvite his own mother from his wedding. Why? The answer kept circling back to one thing: money. I opened my laptop and searched her name. Vanessa Chen. 26, social media consultant. Her public profile was immaculate. Designer handbags, luxury vacations, restaurant meals that cost more than my weekly grocery bill. Everything carefully curated to look effortless. But I had spent decades in banking. I knew what real wealth looked like, and this wasn't it. I dug deeper. Older posts mentioned a previous relationship with a man named Marcus Hendrickson. The name triggered something in my memory. I searched again. Marcus Hendrickson, real estate developer, recently filed for bankruptcy after a very public divorce. The timing made my stomach tighten. Vanessa's posts about Marcus stopped abruptly 2 weeks after his financial collapse became public. Exactly 2 weeks later, her first photo with Daniel appeared. I closed my laptop and stared at the wall. Coincidences stopped feeling harmless once you saw enough of them. I pulled out the notebook where I kept financial documents related to Daniel. The joint accounts weren't our only connection. I had co-signed his apartment lease when he started his first real job. I had co-signed his car loan. And there was the trust I had established when he was born, technically under my control until he turned 30. If Vanessa believed she was marrying into wealth through Daniel, she was mistaken. The real assets weren't his to give. My phone rang. An unfamiliar number. "Mrs. Patterson?" a woman asked, professional and calm. "This is Jessica Moreno from First National Bank. I'm calling regarding unusual activity on accounts linked to your name." My heart began to race. "Someone attempted to access the joint account ending in 4782 approximately 3 hours ago," she said. "The system flagged it as closed, but there were multiple login attempts using the correct password." "That wasn't me," I said. "The IP address traces to downtown Seattle," she continued. "Do you know anyone who might have had the login credentials?" Downtown Seattle, Vanessa's neighborhood. "Yes," I said quietly. "I believe I do." After I hung up, I sat very still. Vanessa hadn't waited days or weeks. She'd tried to access the money immediately. That told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't love. This was extraction. I opened a new document on my computer and titled it "Protect Daniel." Then I began making calls. The next morning, I sat across from my attorney, Gerald Wu. He had handled Robert's estate and had known our family for over 20 years. When I finished explaining everything, he leaned back in his chair and sighed. "What do you want to accomplish, Margaret?" he asked. "I want to protect my son," I said. "And I want to make sure she can't touch what I built for him." Gerald nodded. "We can do that. The trust doesn't mature until Daniel turns 30. You're the sole trustee. We can make it irrevocable and specify that any inheritance remains separate property, even if he's married." "Do it," I said without hesitation. "There's something else," he added. "If you're worried about financial exploitation, you should consider a private investigator. I know someone discreet." It felt invasive. But then I remembered the text message. "Give me the name," I said. 2 days later, Rachel Torres sat in my living room. She was in her 40s, efficient, with kind eyes that suggested she had seen too much human behaviour to be surprised by any of it. "I need to be honest," she said. "What I find may not be pleasant." "I need the truth," I replied. She called me back in less than 48 hours. When I arrived at her office, documents were spread across the table like evidence at a crime scene. Vanessa Chen had $47,000 in credit card debt, most of it accumulated within the last 18 months. Collection proceedings had already begun. She had been evicted from her apartment 4 months before meeting Daniel. Rachel slid another document toward me. "A loan application," she said. $50,000. Submitted in Daniel's name 3 weeks ago. Denied. My hands trembled. "The contact information belongs to Vanessa," Rachel continued. "Email, phone number. The signature doesn't match Daniel's records. This is fraud." The room tilted. "What about the wedding?" I asked. Rachel pulled up another file. The venue coordinator was told the wedding had to happen before the end of the month due to inheritance stipulations in Daniel's grandmother's will. My mother had died 15 years earlier. There were no stipulations. "She needs the marriage certificate quickly," Rachel said. "For access, benefits, control." I left her office with evidence instead of doubts. That evening, Gerald and I drafted a certified letter to Daniel. Formal, calm, documented. It outlined the evidence and offered to meet. The next morning, my phone rang. Vanessa's voice exploded through the line. "You have some nerve," she shouted, sending legal threats right before our wedding. "The letter was for Daniel," I said evenly. "You're a bitter, controlling old woman," she snapped. "Stay away from us, or I'll get a restraining order." I smiled for the first time in days. She was panicking. Over the next week, I locked everything down. I removed myself as co-signer from Daniel's lease. I initiated the process to remove my name from his auto loan. I filed a police report documenting the fraudulent loan application. When Daniel and Vanessa showed up at my door one evening, I knew the storm had arrived. Vanessa did the talking. Daniel stood stiffly beside her. She accused me of abuse, of sabotage, of elder harassment. I placed the folder in Daniel's hands. "Read," I said. I watched his face change as he turned each page. Confusion, shock, doubt. Vanessa tried to grab the folder. Daniel pulled it away. "This says you tried to access my accounts," he said, "that you applied for a loan in my name." She cried, she shouted, she blamed me. Then she gave him an ultimatum. "Choose," she said. "Her or me." Daniel didn't choose that night, but the seed had been planted. And seeds, once planted, grow. After Daniel left my house that night with Vanessa, I didn't know if I had won or lost. I only knew that something fundamental had cracked. He'd seen the evidence, but fear had pulled him back to her side. Fear is louder than reason when someone knows exactly how to use it. For 3 days, there was silence. No calls, no messages, nothing. I forced myself not to reach out. Any attempt from me would have given Vanessa exactly what she wanted. Proof that I was desperate, unstable, unreasonable. Instead, I focused on staying grounded. I tended my garden. I met my friend Patricia for lunch. I slept. I reminded myself that truth doesn't expire just because someone refuses to look at it. On the 4th day, a message arrived from an unknown number. "This is Daniel's phone, but it's Vanessa. He doesn't want contact with you ever again. Stop harassing us or I'll file a restraining order. You are not part of his life anymore. Accept it." I saved the message. Evidence matters. 2 days later, an email appeared in my inbox. The subject line read "Olive Branch." Vanessa apologised for overreacting. She said Daniel was suffering. She suggested that if I contributed $30,000 toward the wedding, we could move forward as a family. She even offered a prenuptial agreement to protect Daniel. I forwarded the email to Gerald. "This is manipulation," he said immediately. "She needs cash. Don't respond." So I didn't. Instead, I waited. Manipulators are impatient. They can't stand losing control, and they always push too hard. 1 week before the wedding, the doorbell rang at 7 in the morning. Daniel stood on my porch with Vanessa beside him. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. His shoulders slumped. Vanessa smiled as if we were meeting for coffee. She spoke carefully, as though reciting a script. She said she wanted peace. She said she wanted family. She said she wanted me at the wedding. Then she made her demand. I was to withdraw the police report, issue a written apology, and publicly admit I had made false accusations. In exchange, I could attend the wedding. "If you don't," she said calmly, "you'll never see Daniel again." I looked at my son. "Do you believe I lied?" I asked. He hesitated. "I don't know what to believe anymore," he said. Vanessa exploded. She called me bitter, lonely, jealous. She accused me of poisoning him, of sabotaging his happiness. I didn't raise my voice. "I can accept you choosing someone else," I said. "I can't accept you being exploited." She turned on Daniel and demanded he defend her. "Mum," he said weakly, "you need to apologise." I shook my head. "I won't apologise for telling the truth." They left. That was the moment I truly believed I might lose my son forever. I cried for the first time since this nightmare began. Not loudly, just quietly on my couch, grieving the child I raised and the man I didn't recognise. Then I wiped my face and called Gerald. "She tried to extort me," I said. "Document everything." The wedding was scheduled for Sunday at 3 in the afternoon. I wasn't invited, I wasn't going. But Saturday afternoon, my phone rang. It was Rachel. "Mrs. Patterson," she said, "Daniel asked me to review his bank statements. I'm emailing them now." I opened the file. Transfers jumped off the page, thousands of dollars moving from Daniel's account to one labelled VC Personal. The dates matched Vanessa's credit card payment deadlines. "She's been using his money to pay her debts," Rachel said. "The $8,000 transfer happened 3 days ago, right after you refused to apologise." "Has Daniel seen this?" I asked. "Not yet. I'm meeting him tomorrow morning. He asked for clarity." "Tomorrow,"